One. Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Buckle up. You are in for something special today. It's a great day. I'm about to introduce you to our guest. Before I do that, here is the longest quote that I could find. Man is a rope stretched between the animal and the Superman, a rope over an abyss, a dangerous crossing, a dangerous wayfaring, a dangerous looking back, a dangerous trembling and halting. What is great in man is that he is a bridge and not a goal. What is lovable in man is that he is an overgoing and a downgoing. I love those that know not how to live except as downgoers, for they are the overgoers. I love the great despisers because they are the great adorers and arrows of longing for the other shore. I love those who do not first seek a reason beyond the stars for going down and being sacrifices, but sacrifice themselves to the earth, that the earth of the Superman may hereafter arrive. I love him who lives in order to know and seeks to know in order that the Superman may there hereafter live. Thus seeks he his own downgoing. I love him who labors and invents that he may build the house for the Superman and prepare for him earth, animal, and plant, for thus seeks he his own downgoing. I love him who loves his virtue, for virtue is the will to downgoing and an arrow of longing. I love him who reserves no share of spirit for himself, but wants to be wholly the spirit of his virtue. Thus walks he as spirit over the bridge. I love him who makes his virtue his inclination and destiny. Thus, for the sake of his virtue, he is willing to live on or live no more. I love him who desires not too many virtues. One virtue is more of a virtue than two, because it is more of a knot for one's destiny to cling to. I love him whose soul is lavish, who wants no thanks and does not give back, for he always bestows and desires not to keep for himself. I love him who is ashamed when the dice fall in his favor, and who then asks, am I a dishonest player? For he is willing to succumb. I love him who scatters golden words in advance of his deeds and always does more than he promises, for he seeks his own downgoing. I love him who justifies the future ones and redeems the past ones, for he is willing to succumb through the present ones. I love him who chastens his God because he loves his God, for he must succumb through the wrath of his God. I love him whose soul is deep, even in the wounding, and may succumb through a small matter. Thus goes he willingly over the bridge. I love him whose soul is so overfull that he forgets himself and all things that are in him. Thus all things become his downgoing. I love him who is of a free spirit and a free heart. Thus is Thus is his head only the bowels of his heart. His heart, however, causes his downgoing. I love all who are like heavy drops falling one by one out of the dark cloud that lowers over man. They herald the coming of the lightning and succumb as heralds. Lo, I am a herald of the lightning and a heavy drop out of the cloud. The lightning, however, is the Superman. Friedrich Nietzsche. Thus spoke Zarathustra. Our guest today is the Ubermensch himself, the one and only Eric Guy, friend of the Culture Matters podcast. freaking amazing, man. Thanks for coming back to the show. And thanks for just listening to that
Half
long
a book. That
book.
is that is the longest quote I've ever heard you quote.
We have broke the record of all podcast quotes,
Yeah,
intros
that was
ever.
I think that was 4 minutes or 5 minutes.
Where do we go from here, Eric Guy? You had a word for 2025. We're about 27% through the year. What do you think?
In regards to that word,
Sure.
absolutely. Yeah, I think I've been doing pretty well with it. I think I've been crushing it. Uh,
Because you had a word either last year or the year before, something to do with fire.
that was a few years ago, yeah. And then last year was let's surrender, and then this year's generous. And that was yeah, that just more generous even with the with my time, like towards people.
What does it do? What do you think it does for the audience to be more generous?
Well, I know from the people that matter most, it's like they get better time, they get better quality from me. Yeah, I know you're a lot like me. We just get, we get too focused on our work. Sometimes it's like I don't want to pull back. Like yesterday, I mean, we had I was in between appointments. I stopped and had lunch with my son. I don't like stopping to have lunch. I don't, I'm just go, 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 go. And he had an hour, I had an hour, and had my wife, order something. I where I was at between him and his home, and I picked it up. And yeah, he works remotely uh, a few days a week, so he's close by, and we just had a good lunch, talked about a few things, and left. But that isn't normal. I wouldn't say that would be normal for me to do, or just to one of the other things is just pick up the phone and call 5 people each week that I haven't spoke to in a while. So even if I just leave them a message, like a lot of
Hmm.
them, there's quite a few that might call me back, and I just tell them, hey, look, I was just thinking about you. What's going on? I don't need anything. Just thinking about how things are going. And it comes back. I mean, that's, that was kind of my thing. It definitely comes back towards you. That's not why I'm doing it, but it has other ways of manifesting itself.
Do you ever have doubt before you pick up the phone?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Like, am I bothering this person or, whatever? Even being generous, as gifting, it's sometimes weird when you get that prompting. I know we were on vacation and yeah, I just felt compelled to be generous to somebody and it was crazy generous. And I'm like, this is stupid. Don't do it. You go back and forth. I actually passed the person by and then walked back.
Hmm.
And it was weird. Yeah, it was weird, but it felt good after the fact. But I think it's all those things that like a normal person, air quotes, a normal person wouldn't do. That's like, well, am I being crazy or am I actually being generous? And what does this mean? But
Hmm.
it's really helped. That's helped me to continue to not live in a mindset of scarcity.
What do you mean? Scarcity?
Yeah. So, you be generous, you give and you shall receive, right? Get in that mindset of, hey, look, if I call somebody, it's not the end of the world. Maybe they, nobody's ever actually said, "Oh, it's horrible that you called," right? it was always very timely, and even if they couldn't call me back, they call me back later. But even to give of time and things like that, you know, not to think that, oh, I'm going to run out of my day if I don't get this done, to have that time to spend with somebody, to go to lunch. I'm not going to do that every day. But when I do, yeah, I want to be present. So that to me is being very generous.
When you talk about presence, what would you say are how do you view being on, how do you view this phone and our relationship with it as it relates to time with others? So, we're all together. This little phone right here is calling out to us. What do you think the consequences are of five people sitting and being together for a meal and looking at, being engaged in their phones as opposed to being present with one another?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a problem if we're picking that thing up all the time. You miss things, right? You miss a lot of little things that are big things down the road. I think that's one of the reasons that we enjoy doing the adventures so much, is because for most of those places you don't get cell service, so you do have to be in the moment. Um, some of the places that we go, and you're kind of out in the wilderness or out in the woods or whatever, you can't really be on your phone because if you're not paying attention, you're going to get hurt. Um, but when you're doing those things, there's no need to be on your phone really, unless everybody's just stopping and it's like, hey guys, this is a good time for a picture.
Yeah, let's make sure the world knows how great of a time we're having. The adventures force people to be present.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well, off your phone. I mean,
not
you,
necessarily present. How do you distinguish?
yeah, I mean, it takes that down a peg. So now you're not getting distracted by your phone, but you could definitely get distracted by other things, whether they're thoughts, whatever that might be. There's other things that could take you away from being present, or people just don't know how to do it, or some people are very uncomfortable with it.
Why?
Because you're alone with your thoughts. When I have something like this, I can scroll and do that and not and numb the same way you would do with drugs or alcohol or sex or whatever.
Yes.
It's the same thing. Like when you're not doing anything, and we like to have family, friends, and whatever we call them, fireside chats. You put your phone away. Like, some people still have their phones, but the essence when you're doing that is like, start becoming present with what's going on. Let's talk. Let's be goofy, whatever it might be. Right? Let's just be with one another. But that heightens that relationship, and that's a good thing to help regulate yourself and your soul, is to have that relationship with other people. And those are the things that we miss out on when we're not present, when you're not fully present with folks or with yourself.
I've noticed, I believe that the social platforms, something is like scrolling. Curious to your thoughts on this. People do, we might have a physiological, a psychological pull to want to scroll as a consequence of anxiety going up because we're not doing something else that we know we're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's resistance.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's just resistance. We do all that stuff, and that's why the phones are so dangerous, because they keep us from living out our genius.
How so?
Well, when you're doing this, you're procrastinating on what you're actually supposed to be doing, what you're called in this world to do. Like, if I'm on this phone, well, I don't have time. Well, how many people say that? And then, like, from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, they're either on a TV, a phone, or both. Like they're not doing what they're called to do. And, it just, you can call it procrastination, but it's just resistance to what you're really being called forth to do.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I want to also highlight I don't have time. What I hear when I hear that is I don't value. And what because time, right? Time is value. Like I don't value that. I don't have time to do that. Well, I don't value that, or I didn't value that. What's the vision? You have vision day, right? What's the vision? What's the plan? What are the to-dos in the hierarchy of what I need to get done most?
Hmm.
There's a value hierarchy. This is the most important. This is the least important. These are all the things I'm doing. I don't have time says, I don't know where I'm walking. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know. And that's what I hear when I hear I don't have time. It's I've been in a state of anxiety and these platforms create that positive feedback loop of just self-reinforcing
Hmm.
behaviors that undermine value creation. You know, I don't have time. What does that even mean? I don't value.
Yeah, you don't place value in what you think or say is important.
I don't know what I value.
Yeah.
And if I don't, this is what we learned from Dr. Peterson. I don't know what I value until I know what my aim is. I'm going to
Yeah.
notice
No target.
what I'm aiming at. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what I hear. Like if I want to get something done, I'm going to give it to the busiest person. They are clear on what they value or don't value. Now, the other thing though is this is another thing I'm curious for your thoughts on this. This is where integrity comes in because someone that isn't clear on their aim may not tell me. Like they might not tell me. They don't know what the truth is. So why would they tell me the truth?
All right. Good
So how
point.
do I trust them? How do you trust somebody that lacks integrity? If integrity comes from knowing what we value.
It's a great point. I mean, it just, yeah.
Fire,
Yeah.
fire. I love the fire. That's what I think of as like fire. Just like you ever see Entourage or hear of that scene where he goes in and he has the Nerf gun, Ari Gold, whatever, and he's just shooting everybody with the Nerf gun. It's like here's truth, truth bomb, truth bomb, truth bomb. You don't have an aim. You don't have an aim. You don't have an aim. It's like get out of here with this BS. Integrity comes from being integrated. I've been going through this. I know you've gone through this Beyond Order book a handful. You use it with your clients.
Yeah.
I've been going through this book. This is a great book.
Yeah. A lot to unpack there.
I've been reading it. I've been highlighting. I've been taking the notes to do these monologues, and it is eviscerating me. It is man, rule 7. Work as hard as as hard as you possibly can at least one thing and see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that goes back into your target and just being focused. It gets
How
amazing.
so?
We get so distracted. Well, again, going back to the phone, you get so distracted with things. Um, it's like craziness.
I want people listening to this to know. I want you to listen to this and listen to all of the podcasts and undermine everything that you're seeking to accomplish so that I can gain more recognition. Right? So think about this. The more that you listen to us, right? We put out enough content on a daily basis that you can actually, if you're listening to this, you could actually think you're accomplishing things when you're really just helping me accomplish what I want. Because the more you consume, the less you create. unless there's time for creation. So I want the listeners to know I have a bias in this conversation with all of you. And Eric is also benefiting. That the more you listen to this conversation and believe you're getting value from it, unless that perception and conceptualization leads to action towards your aim, it's just helping us. This is like my OnlyFans. Keep watching, keep listening, keep crowdfunding me. You're just addicted to Jay, all of you.
Addicted to J.
And I'm just, I'm not going to let you down, guys. I'm going to keep putting time in and getting a return on this creation. And I just think that's an important disclaimer, right? And before every podcast, there should be a disclaimer. Be careful. Be careful of how much you think you're getting from this information so as to not undermine the likelihood of going out and building, you
And
know,
doing something.
doing something, actualizing your goals.
Yeah.
It should be a disclaimer. You know how like on financial podcasts they say this is not financial advice. Past performance doesn't dictate
Yeah.
future words. This is not the end all be all of your
Yeah.
success. You have to do something with this time. Anyway, I thought that's something that's been I have a little guilt about it, because I'm being so valuable for the audience. They may not actually do anything. Because I mean, I'm not
That's a
giving them a chance to
possibility.
breathe.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I think a lot of people do that.
How about this? How about this? I want your because all right. I'm back to the introduction. For all those listening that don't know Eric Guy, 3 decades plus helping people, meeting them where they are before he was in business, when he was in the social services work, working with actual people that had um, disorder in their lives in a clinical sense, in a specialized sense. Over time, he got pulled into the business world for obvious reasons. Business people are out of their minds, and successfully, he even lived with people and helped children and parents get their lives together, right? Stand up straight with their shoulders back, and so on. And so he's been working with businesses as a practitioner, a teacher with PI, among other things, among other methodologies for more than 2 decades, correct? So he's seen it
Correct.
all. He's seen it all and has background in human nature. Okay. And he's lived an extraordinary life. What about this? As creators, right? So I've had this like thought experiment I've been playing around. We're creating right now because we're having a conversation together. It's going to go out on the internet. It's going to live forever. Like we're so close to the sun, we got to be careful we don't get burnt. Like where's the point? Where's the point of no return where the creator becomes the consumer? Like for those that have been around people that sell drugs, they say don't get high on your own supply.
Right?
But how many creators are high as hell on their supply? So, for example, let's say that I did 30 podcasts in a month and I watched my podcasts
Uh-huh.
after because I want to get better, air quotes. Well, now it's like if it was 30 hours, now it's 60 hours.
Yep.
So this is the thought experiment. What could be the consequences for creators that get high on their own supply? So, for example, I'm scrolling, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. I'm on there because, air quotes, I have a reason. I want to see what's going on. I want to see the content. I want to do, dude. I'm selling marijuana. I'm not. No, I'm not literally doing it. Whoever's listening to this,
Yeah.
metaphorically, if I'm slinging dope and I'm doing dope 20% of the time, I'm gonna go from being a high earning, criminal to being a low earning imprisoned human. So this is my theory. As a creator creates, if they're not careful and if they don't have help, because I don't even, it's below awareness. We don't have as much power as we think we do as individuals. There's got to be this graph where like the creator becomes a consumer. So if you start creating, if I'm holding my hands up for anyone who's not watching on
Yeah.
YouTube. If we started 100% creating, 0% consuming, now you're at 99% creating, 1% consuming, 98% creating, 2% consuming, 97% creating, 3% consuming. And before you know it, you're still
Starts to
creating.
switch. Yep.
Yes, that's how addictive. It's beyond addiction. It's a culture, it's a psychological integration. It's a complete like unity. I am, I am just this avatar of culture for people. So anyway, this is like a thought experiment I've been playing around with, in my head. Now I'm sharing it with the audience,
Hmm.
with you, Eric, to get your thoughts on that. What the hell impact could that have on human nature, on human beings? Because I don't think I'm addicted, right? I'm the creator.
Right.
I'm the
You don't
creator.
have any awareness. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't think it. You're just consuming, consuming, consuming. Yeah. You.
And I'm being incentivized to consume and create because now all of my relationships are those that I have met online and are online. And this goes back to what you said about calling people to see how they're doing. I think it's beautiful and I'm trying to highlight it. Man, I don't need to do that in 2028 because all of my relationships are transient and all the people that I could call and see how they're doing, they're just stalking me on TikTok anyway. I don't need to talk to them. They're just talking to me through themselves, mentally masturbating all day long on whatever the fuck they think. So I'm telling you, our culture is screwed. I don't need to call. I don't need to listen to Eric. Oh yeah, call somebody. How are you?
Yeah. That is a
Mom, I'm
shame
not
because
calling you. Don't you watch my TikTok?
yeah, it's a shame. Like we've gotten away from that, right?
So I don't know, dude. I think the culture is in trouble, is what I'm trying to say. Like
Oh, absolutely.
what you just said was a cultural act, is a spiritual act to call five people and see how they're doing. But I don't, if I have influence, I don't need to do that because I'm just getting called by people. So what does that do to me? It just, I would
Where does it leave
destroy
you eventually? Where does it leave you eventually?
hell, hell,
Yeah.
hell. I think it leaves you in hell, right? Where all of my relationships are transient. There's a number attached to it. There's an order attached to it. There's a value based on material materialism, um, social constructs, power. I think it's fake. I think it's hollow. I think it's hell. No wonder anxiety and depression are all-time highs.
Yeah.
Everyone's focused on kids. How about the adults? We both know. You could speak to this. Adults are just big kids. So what are the consequences of social air quotes media integration into adults? Like there's that literature around Jonathan Haidt's research around the anxious generation and how he's saying to ban cell phones for 16 and under. Have you heard of that research?
Hmm.
I think in the next 5 years, corporations are going to ban cell phones in work.
Might not be a bad idea.
Why?
Well, especially for kids. I don't think it's a great idea for kids to have that anyhow. Like they don't learn. All they learn is this. Like when you get so attached to this, or you think that can do everything for you. Like when you can send a message instead of not having a conversation with someone, or yeah, they just shoot them a message across. Like you have these kids that are in the same room and they're shooting messages. Like, just have a conversation, right?
You just
You don't know anything about
This
relationships.
is what we're going to do right now because forget, I don't care about these listeners. I don't even know them. We're going to end this recording and we're going to catch up without this stupid camera being on because it changes the ontology of our relationship. All right, think about it. We need to catch up off of the recording and see how each other are doing, have a conversation, because this should be a component of our relationship. It shouldn't be all of our relationship.
Yeah,
Or
and we
else
did
we're
that
not.
last time you were here.
Well, I was intentional about it because I was thinking like, this
Yeah.
is, it's like, it's not real, right? And it changes. We're not having a conversation with each other anymore. We're having a conversation with whoever's listening. I can't think of anything more narcissistic than that. I mean, I guess
Yeah,
I can
because
think
this
of
is
a lot of
very
things.
transactional. This is just transactional. It's not relational at all.
Yeah, guys, listen, I don't even care about Eric right now. I'm just using his spirit. I'm harvesting it so I can monetize it at some later date using this podcast. I am like a spider and he's in my web. He's caught, a little hobbit, if you're into Hobbit. I don't know. In my view, this is one of the best podcasts we ever did. If you're listening to this episode, hey, Eric, and clearly you could see Eric is a pro. He's a great listener and has clearly a lot of humility coming on the show and putting up with me today. Where can people get your book? What is the book? And how can people follow you?
Oh, follow me. You LinkedIn is just my name, Eric Guy. The Center for Victory under that on Instagram at Center for Victory, YouTube Center for Victory. You know, all those different channels. I don't think it's too hard to connect anymore. The book, The Life of Victory, it's on Amazon. Easy pickup. So easy read
Oh,
too.
wow. I got it. I didn't even realize I have it right here.
There you go.
Yeah,
Look at
I
that.
got all these books around me. I'm like, oh, it's right there. It's right on the windowsill. Yeah, we should do a show on the book again. The language of life, chapter 6. Quote.
Oh, that's good. That's a great chapter to do that.
Yeah, I just opened it up. Your brain has a reticular act. Well, actually, this looks interesting. Our group started praying in the street, singing together as people from the neighborhood joined the circle. Even a dog joined us. Before long, we learned that a hotel down the street was able to take all of us in, offering ample rooms, a conference center, and much better quality of food than we had ever been served at the first hotel. The dog followed us to the new facility too and became our mascot for the trip. There was no panic. Obviously, I lost the plot because I didn't start at the beginning of the story.
Yeah,
But
we got kicked out of a hotel. Like there were
there was no
guards that
panic, even
actually
though
kicked
we
us
might
out.
have been headed that way. As the leader of this group, the one responsible, and the person others counted on to figure things out and set an example, I refused to become nervous or upset. I just kept saying, we'll figure it out. It's going to be okay. By responding to the situation calmly and speaking positively, not reacting in an emotional or violent way, I influenced the event. Are you trying to call me out here? Is that what this? It did turn out okay. This episode, perhaps more clearly and undeniably than any other in recent memory, prove that what you think and the language you use to share your thoughts becomes your reality. Pick up The Life of Victory, Mastering the Secrets of Choosing Love Over Fear by Eric Guy. Please share this with a friend that you would like to get addicted to the Culture Matters podcast so that they can help us achieve our dreams and goals. And please leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast and start with criticisms. I want to know what we could be doing better. All right, bye.